welcome in to the first edition of DNVR Drafts. The idea here is to get all five of us together, and obviously you've got me, Zach Stevens, and Andrew Mason from the DNVR Broncos podcast, but also Andre Simone and Henry Chisholm from the DNVR Draft podcast. So the goal here is to examine the different scenarios, essentially, that could take place before the Broncos get to 15. We've got five of us. Each of us make three picks, or I guess almost each of us make three picks leading up to the 15th pick. Whoever has that 15th pick picks for the Broncos. We'll discuss kind of how things shook out there. And then we're going to rotate each time. So we're going to do five of these. So each person gets one chance to pick for the Broncos. It's going to be every Tuesday and Thursday for the next 2 weeks. And then moving up into the draft week, we'll do our final one on Tuesday of the draft. So should be really fun. Good way to examine kind of how things might shake out for the Broncos rather than just talking about it. We'll just get into it. And so, without further ado, the first team is on the clock, the Bengals, and Zach. Zach, who you got?
With the first overall pick in the 2020 draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Joe Burrow. And guys, news coming in right now, they already have a contract in with him. Easy pick.
Wow, no drama.
No, none at all. Just take the 6'4", sparkling clean quarterback out of LSU.
All right, that's a good pick. Obviously, the most obvious one there. Burrow doesn't say that he's not going to Cincinnati, which is kind of boring, but hey, we'll live with it.
He's gone to Cincinnati.
Yes.
All right.
All right, Dre, you're up.
Easy pick. We could do it virtually. We could do it with smoke signals. It's Chase Young all the way. So, boom,
all right.
Chase Young to the Skins. Easy.
You sound thrilled.
I mean, easy pick, man. Easy pick. You guys gave me the boring ones. I don't even call me when this gets interesting.
Yeah, Andre, really bringing the energy here today. About as exciting as the Washington Redskins are themselves.
Pretty much.
With the third pick, the Detroit Lions will take Jeffrey Okudah, the cornerback from Ohio State. This one was actually sneaky tough. I was kind of tempted to take Isaiah Simmons just because I thought, with that defense, they could just use one more front seven weapon and move him around. Plus, you could play him in the slot a little bit, but when they lose Darius Slay, you just have to replace him.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of different ways you could go, and I think there's a few different ways you could go with this one, but based off of what the Giants have done in the past, they like to get the best player on the board. And so with the fourth pick, Giants select Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, good pick, solid pick.
All right, Mace.
And with the fifth pick, the Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback from Alabama.
It was destiny all along.
Yep, the tanking for Tua worked successfully. That leaves the Chargers on the board with the 6th overall pick. 2 quarterbacks gone. Well, why not give him a third? Justin Herbert with the 6th pick going to LA.
And Broncos fans go crazy. They are thrilled by this pick. All right, with the 7th pick, Andre.
I wonder how LA feels about that Chargers pick with his former love for Justin.
He may be the only guy in Denver that doesn't like that pick.
Well, maybe. I'm sure there's a few Oregon fans who would have mixed feelings about it. Yeah. Now with the Panthers, they're just gonna sit back, let the board fall to them. At this point, Derek Brown seems like the best pick. You're trying to build a program with Teddy Bridgewater on board. We're not worried about quarterbacks. We considered some O-line, but we're sticking with the big boy up front, Derek Brown, all the way, and build that foundation on that deal.
The Cardinals are shook.
The Cardinals are very shook. The Cardinals are extremely shook. Cardinals are going back to the draft board. With the 8th pick, the Cardinals are going to take Tristan Wirfs, the tackle from Iowa. They're going to go O-line instead of trying to get another pass rusher. Javon Kinlaw was tempting there, though. Ugh.
Man, that makes this one interesting. This is a team, the Jaguars, with the 9th pick, who probably needs to get a little bit more explosive on offense. So they, with the 9th pick, take CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, Oklahoma.
Ooh, is a run starting
Good.
on wide receivers
Very
and
good
tackles.
I don't know why the Jags just strike me as a CeeDee Lamb team.
They do. They definitely strike me as that.
Maybe it's because
10th sorry.
Go ahead.
10th overall pick, Cleveland Browns, needing some protection for Baker Mayfield, take Jedrick Wills from Alabama, offensive tackle.
Wow, they take him first. Oh, no, not first tackle. Tristan Wirfs went first.
Yeah, second.
But now we've had tackle, wide receiver, tackle, and the Jets are on the clock with this next pick, and they are going Henry Ruggs, hitting the speed for what they want. So now we're going tackle, receiver. The run has started.
Broncos fans are pulling their hair.
And John Elway's talking about trading down here.
Uh-oh.
Well, he should have called the Cardinals at 8.
Yeah, no, that was
set up
perfect right
perfectly. The Cards, the Cards would have been down to move down. That was the move, because this is the tricky spot of the draft, and the Raiders aren't going to let this run end. The Raiders don't need tackles, but they sure could use Jerry Jeudy, who I think will fit perfectly in that Gruden offense. A draft guru like Mike Mayock isn't stupid enough to let a guy like Jerry Jeudy slip further down the board, and that's the 12th pick for your Las Vegas Raiders.
Wow. Well, hopefully the Raiders have as bad of an internet connection as Andre, and they miss out on their pick because they can't get it in.
Let's hope.
Oh man, this is nightmarish for our first episode here.
This is nightmarish for the 49ers at 13 too, just like the Cardinals. All those receivers gone. I think they're gonna have to go with Javon Kinlaw to replace the defensive line.
All right, Javon Kinlaw off the board.
It's a solid pick, but like you said, that's kind of a nightmare scenario for the 49ers too.
It is.
Oh, God, and I hate to do this to the Broncos. But with the 14th selection, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go back to the run of tackles and wide receivers and take Andrew Thomas.
Oh, no. Oh, man. I don't even think when I put my nightmare scenario together this past weekend that all of these guys were gone.
Wow.
Yeah,
this is a dream scenario. What are you talking about?
This is bad because the only one of the top 4 tackles that's left is the guy who's 367 pounds, in Mekhi Becton.
That works.
And that's playing every down at that weight. That's too heavy. That's too heavy for my taste.
So,
You've got Josh Jones on the board. In an ideal situation, I'm trading down from here.
okay.
That is my first choice with this board as it is to trade down. But I don't have that choice right now, so I'm taking Denzel Mims.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
I can't believe that this just happened. Like,
I can. I knew this was going to happen. And I was hoping against hope, RK, that you would take Mekhi Becton. Because then it's easy. Andrew Thomas. Boom. Done. He's a great fit for what Mike Munchak and Pat Shurmur want to do.
So I've never felt more strongly about this than I have right now. The Broncos have to trade up.
Yep, that's what it feels like. I mean, we saw how that run just went. Boom.
Yeah. If
Mace,
only Shelby Harris had not knocked down that pass against the Raiders. Could have changed everything.
It's true. Why do you feel so strongly that Thomas would be an ideal fit, but Becton wouldn't? Because they're both big boys.
They're both big boys, but Becton has got 45, 50 pounds on Andrew Thomas right now. And you're not talking about taking a 350-pound nose tackle who's going to play 40 to 60% of the snaps. You're asking Mekhi Becton at 367 to play every down. I have my doubts that he's going to hold up at that size over the long haul.
Man, it's an interesting. I'm not a big Becton guy myself either, so I'm kind of with Mace on this. But man, to have to go Mims, I mean, your options are the fourth tackle or the fourth wide receiver. That is, you know what? On our podcast just seconds ago that we finished recording, I said there's no scenario in which I support a trade back. I lied. I would have supported a trade back here, but to me it just illuminates, especially with the capital the Broncos have, they should trade up. They need to get up a little bit to make sure that all of their favorite targets aren't gone. We just went through a scenario where all of the Broncos' favorite targets, unless they like Becton, were off the board at 15.
Even trading with the 49ers would have been enough to get Andrew Thomas.
Well, and even trading with the 49ers may not have been enough to get any of those guys if, let's say, Andrew Thomas goes, I don't know, just to 7th to the Panthers, or even to the, well, I guess the 49ers use that pick. But there's a chance that moving 2 spots isn't enough, and that you got to get anywhere, 9, 10, 11, you'll get a guy.
I think, yeah. I mean, I didn't think this would happen. Maybe there's a little bit of a.
You're criminally underrating Becton here, guys.
I think
the second
that's
best
where I wanna
tackle
go
in
back
this
to.
class.
It's not whether he's good enough. I just don't know that at that size he's going to hold up every down for the long term.
In a spread-heavy offense where they're passing the ball and running like 60 plays a game was fine condition. I think if we focus too much on the weight, we're kind of missing the point of the kind of rare talent this guy is.
Yeah, I just don't see rare talent. I see a good tackle, but to me, I see a significant gap between those other 3 tackles and Becton. And then Josh Jones, he's a project. I'm not sure Josh Jones is starting as a rookie. He's really raw.
So to me, it's not necessarily that I don't know. It's not that I'm underrating Becton. I just hate the feeling of getting the 4th option at any position.
Asked the Cardinals about that 2 years ago. They got the 4th quarterback, Josh Rosen. Of course, the Ravens got the 5th quarterback in Lamar Jackson. It worked out pretty well. But your risk factor does go up when you get into that 4th or 5th pick.
Now, I understand what you're saying, Andre, which is, to you, he's not the 4th best. He's the 2nd best. And if the Broncos feel that way, then fantastic. That's great. But it just, the way that this could shake out is just is scary, because you're at 15. You expect to be getting an elite player there, and you want to, and the last thing you want to do is take your 4th choice of a guy there.
I think that Becton should be seen as like that elite player. I think he should be comparable with getting Jerry Jeudy at that spot. He's 370 pounds or over, 369 pounds, and he's 6'7", but also all the athletic testing. Plus, he played well enough in college to project as a day 1 starter. Like, it could be that he flames out, or it could be that you have the freak at left tackle for the next 15 years.
Yeah, that weight to me is not an attribute. That's the problem.
Well, he was just like Garrett Bowles throughout his career. He was available and there for him. And I mean, on a DNVR big board in the awesome draft guide that we have, you're getting a top 10 player. He's number 9 on the board. If you went that way. Now, of course, the Broncos in this case don't go that way.
Yeah. A couple comments coming in. I think they're funny because there's a lot of different opinions here. One person said, "This is the worst draft ever," and another person said, "I think this is the most likely scenario."
Let's hope those two don't go together. The most likely scenario that turns out to be the worst.
If it's the most likely scenario, then you want one of those receivers, John Elway, to be getting on the Zoom or on the phone right now. Making a trade to move up before the draft, if that's the priority. If they want CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs, or Jerry Jeudy, they need to be getting themselves in position right now.
Oh man, that is. I think John. I'm going to send this to John Elway's office and have him get to work. Although Andre seems happy with it. You wouldn't be able to tell from his facial expression as he's frozen there. But I think that they need to really consider this scenario. And I think there's maybe a little bit of a variable here because all of us are looking at the draft from a Broncos perspective. So when our picks come up, and you look at the needs that these teams have, well, your favorite ones are the ones that you like for the Broncos when you have to select these picks. Like someone in the comments said, Ryan, how could you? Well, I got to be true to the board, like my board had Andrew Thomas at the top of the board when he came up, so I had to take it.
And look, when we do this draft and I'm picking for the Bucs, if Andrew Thomas is there at 14, I am over the moon with excitement about that for them.
Well, and something we talked about before this was that we were going to discuss some controversial picks. As we saw it kind of play out, it seems pretty straightforward on at least how we think in this first round, in this first version of this, how it's going to play out. That it wasn't tough picking the Jets to have a wide receiver. Now, I could have gone Jerry Jeudy instead of Henry Ruggs, but at the end, it still would have fallen the same way for the Broncos at 15.
Unless the Jets go tackle, and that's a possibility too.
Yep, it is. But then instead of Javon Kinlaw going to the 49ers, and you get a wide receiver going to the 49ers.
Exactly. It could have been receiver. It also could have been a cornerback at the 49ers too, though. I think that's where you could see them reach for C.J. Henderson, and that would have shifted everything back a little bit.
That's where the NFC West teams really make this interesting. Because the Cards, instead of Wirfs, if they go Kinlaw, then at 13, it's probably C.J. Henderson because I don't see the Niners spending another first-round pick on an offensive tackle right now. So that – and then C.J. Henderson, that might allow Andrew Thomas or one of the receivers to drop.
And the thing with the Cardinals is that defense is such a mess right now that they could pick almost any defensive player, any position, and they're filling a need because it's still got holes all over the place. And – in a division, you mentioned the NFC West, you're trying to keep up with the 49er offense, with a Russell Wilson-led offense, with a Sean McVay offense. They've got to bolster that side of the ball.
Yeah, this is fascinating. I'm glad we did this. I'm hoping it falls a little differently the next time we do this. I think we'll have to try and envision some other scenarios here, like you guys are kind of bringing up. I want to quickly give a shout out to Metro State, MSU Denver, .edu/online. That is where you are going to get hooked up. Like I mentioned on the podcast today, there's never been a better time to really dive in and further your education if you're looking for things to do right now. I mean, you can play Madden or you can become smarter. Whatever, it's up to you. But if you do want to get smarter, then hit up msudenver.edu/online. We are all huge Roadrunners, guys. If there was a Roadrunner in the draft, we'd take him number 1 overall.
Well said.
But I think that's going to wrap it up for us here on this first edition of the DNVR Draft. We appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Appreciate Metro State for sponsoring us. And we'll be back on Thursday with a hopefully better scenario for the Broncos.